Welcome to Second Take, the show that focuses on the issues behind the news. MC Mining has an eye on acquisition and project access. Botswana manganese estimate fires up aspirant battery supplier. And the Bokamoso Barona initiative is promising to show how mining and agriculture can go hand in hand. Mining Weekly editor Martin Creamer unpacks the headlines. Welcome, Martin.
Hi, Sashni.
Now, kicking off with MC Mining, the company is keeping busy and has its eye on a coal mine, is trying to advance the Makodo project, and is also marking time for a government SEZ.
Yes, and this is coal with a difference, because the emphasis is on metallurgical coal. So MC Mining, it's listed in Australia, listed in London, listed in Joburg, was formerly Coal of Africa, and it is managed under MC Mining now to get rid of a lot of obstacles which faced it. It's been having a painstaking time, trying to deal with all the issues in South Africa, but it's moving closer to not only getting a second acquisition, because the acquisition of the Aitkoms metallurgical mine actually did very well for it. It's been a great acquisition, but its critical mass is such that it needs another acquisition to justify how many people it employs and all that sort of issue. So it's now got its eye, and it's not opening its mouth too wide, but it seems as though it's close to a possible second acquisition now, which will give it that critical mass in terms of producing money to keep everything going. But what I'm very keen on is this coking coal project, Mikado, because we import coking coal at the moment, and it's always tragic when you've got to let your foreign exchange go out. You want to sell the coking coal, which they're planning to do, which if Mikado goes ahead they will do. It's a good quality coal, get a good revenue stream on that, because it's like double the value of thermal coal, which is burnt. This is burnt, but in a way that it creates steel. So it's a different and higher value product. So that'll be a marvelous project to go ahead with. And then they're also talking about an SEZ in Limpopo, a special economic zone, and that is the contribution of government. Now, they're pretty slow on this. I don't know why. They've been talking about it for a long time. I noticed that the president has been pushing this idea of creation of special economic zones, so hopefully they'll move with this one, because it's going to be quite coal intensive, which will mean that the activities of MC Mining there could get a boost from the SEZ, and at the same time go ahead with these projects, which would mean that we don't have to import that coking coal anymore, but we start as an exporter of coking coal, which is a good position to be in.
And a Toronto Venture Exchange junior exploration company will begin a preliminary economic assessment at a manganese field in Botswana.
Yeah, so you don't associate Botswana with manganese, but if you go back to the 50s and 60s, you find that there was a manganese mining taking place there. So these Toronto people, of course, they're quick to catch up on what we should be doing as South Africans right across our border, because we are fairly big in manganese, and we should make sure that we stay in control of the assets if possible. They have now excited themselves with some drilling results, but it's in an area which has a history of manganese. So this company, Guyani, is now fired up because it feels that this early drilling has given it a lot of confidence that it can proceed with far more intensive studies there. So what we're hearing, manganese is going to come out of Botswana. That's the plan, and they want to use this manganese for what it's being used for a lot these days, which has pushed its price up, and that is getting it into the battery market for these electric vehicles. So it's become an EV product. People are always boasting about EV at the moment. It is the particular issue where miners are rallying around with lithium and all sorts of other things. And now this Toronto listed company, very excited about what they've delineated out at in Botswana, and hoping to come through as a supplier to the battery market.
And lastly, in September, an MOU was signed, which resulted in the formation of the multi-stakeholder Bokamoso Barona initiative, and it's promising to show how mining and agriculture can go hand in hand.
Yeah, no, this is fantastic. There was a time when my family had to move out to the West Rand. My dad, who worked on the mines, was transferred to goldfields out on the West Rand, and we had this wonderful view of an area that was well watered, But for some crazy reason, the government allowed Goldfields to come in there and drain everything. And so what was a market garden, which was an active supplier of produce into the market, suddenly, lost its agricultural profile. And they pushed this gold profile. And the gold mining did so much damage because there's dolomitic soil there. So in your dolomite, if you remove the water, it gets very dry and it tends to collapse and create sinkholes. So when I lived out in Linton Grange there, the houses were sinking because of this dolomite situation, because the mines were removing the water. And we used to take advantage of that by jumping over and taking all the fruit, because the people had abandoned their houses. And during the fruit season, you could pick all this fruit. It was wonderful. But what was tragic is that some of the houses just disappeared into the sinkhole with families in them, at 4 in the morning. And how the government allowed Goldfields to get away with this, I just don't know how this mining company, if it had happened today, this mining company would have been in such trouble, but they got away with it. I'm really glad that, Sibanye Stillwater has taken a very sustainable view of the mining out there. It's realized this was an agricultural era. Let's get going, rebuild that agriculture so that there can be life after our gold mining activities here, which are probably going to go on for another 30, 40 years. But still, you've got to start planning now for when those mines close. And we know that a previous CEO of Goldfields gone by, he actually created a flower growing business there, not as something that would be owned by Goldfields, something that's done by the private sector, commercial, long stemmed, big headed roses, and these were exported quite with some alacrity. So you can see this area can produce. I've been out there and I've seen what Sibanye Stillwater is doing. The growth of the produce there was of a high quality, and it was going straight into the commercial business of South Africa. So these particular outlets would be buying that. Again, it's not as a diversification for Sibanye Stillwater. They're not really wanting to be that directly involved. They want the community to be involved, and you can see they've got big players now on 30,000 hectares of land, which could be a wonderful thing. And we're talking about this whole land issue in South Africa, and taking land without compensation. But look how much the mines can offer. They've got vast tracts of land, and you can see in areas that were well watered, if they can release this. And you can see how well they're organizing this. You've got Sibanye Stillwater, which is leading it, but you've got the Dolomitic Water Association, you've got the West Rand Development Agency, you've got Gauteng Infrastructure Financing Agency, you've got the Public Investment Corporation, you've got the Planning Department. So they could really do something spectacular in this, so that by the time, gold mining is phased out there, you don't leave these ghost towns like you used to. You'd leave a thriving agricultural industry in an area which has got a tradition going past pre-mining, that it was strongly agricultural, but they're even talking about bioenergy now. And we see that, there's a lot of potential out there. And it's so great that the mining industry this time, Sibanye Stillwater, takes such strong lead there to resurrect these possibilities, so that they can't have a finger pointed at them, that they haven't gone for sustainability and life after mining.
Thanks for speaking to us, Martin.
It's a great pleasure, Sashni.
That's it for today. Join us again next week for more news analysis on South Africa's mining industry.